Hi, everyone. Welcome back. And thank you for coming back on time. Welcome to the first and the largest online career expo that's ever staged in the city's innovation and technology sector. My name is MC Melody Kwan. Welcome back to the second session of the last day of our week-long, the virtual Job Expo. Now, this is very exciting because I'm looking at some of the results that we have. For those of you who were actually here this morning, you probably know about what they are already, but I want to recap them one more time in case this is the first time you're coming in. Now, for the total number of page views that we have so far is actually over 190,000. And in terms of visitor flow, it's past the 35,000 mark already. And in terms of CVs, wow, definitely over 9,000 in this case. So a lot of reading that's going on. And what should you expect on this virtual platform? Now, besides having over 1,100 career opportunities, that's coming from more than 160 science park technology companies. That's across different fields. In fields such as AI and robotics, we got health tech, we got smart city, we got things like fintech. And not only that, the comfort of your own home, just over one mouse click or even just a tap on your phone, you can actually join us anytime and anywhere. And then as of today, by the end of today, we'll have presented you actually with close to 20 webinars already. That's featuring some very experienced recruiters. We got the trailblazing startups, we got INT heavyweights, and most importantly, we also have the industry experts that were joining us. So everyone, let's buckle up and get ready to kick up everything up a notch, your knowledge, your skill set, and also your perspective when you're looking at your next interview. And also, most importantly, to get ahead of your game. Now, with me in this session today, we have Mr. Alex King. He is the Strategic Partnership Manager of Hatch, powered by Ambition. And today, the topic of discussion is how to plan a successful career. Thank you so much for being with us once again, Alex. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. Actually, I'm so excited about this topic, but more importantly, can I actually get you to introduce yourself just really quickly for those audiences who's just seeing you for the first time so we can know you a little bit more?
Sure. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex, and I am the Strategic Partnership Manager at Hatch, which is a division inside Ambition Recruitment. Ambition is an international recruitment company, and we have offices all over the world, including Hong Kong. We've been in Hong Kong for about 20 plus years now. I focus on working with many fintech companies, high growth companies, and startups. Thank you very much for having me here, and I'm really excited to get into the topic.
Well, let's start with something that's a little bit more general here. Now, I'm actually curious. I actually ask a lot of people this question, including myself. What is it that inspires you?
What is it inspires me? I think what guys have to look at in terms of when mapping out their career in technology is generally what does inspire them. There's a multitude of options that these guys can go with. And obviously, when you're coming out of your master's degree or coming out of your degree, it can be overwhelming in terms of what you're looking at. What I'd recommend is I think you'd have a good idea now about what you like and what you dislike. What you like, I'd recommend focusing on those particular areas, going into those areas and digging a little bit deeper and find out really what motivates you and what's going to push you to pursue this particular career path. When you can go to a job and it doesn't actually feel like going to work, then you know that you've got a job that you really like, and that's going to help you progress faster. That's going to help you be successful, and it's obviously going to make you feel better about your day-to-day life. So have a look about what inspires you, do your research, and really have a conversation with yourself about what you like and what you dislike.
In this case, I guess it's kind of like a two-way thing. What inspires you is what inspires them. That in turn kind of inspires you to want to know more about them. So
Exactly.
very interesting. Now, another thing is, do you have anything to say in terms of like, say, I don't know, like ideal companies, like when they're doing their research and their job search?
Absolutely. When you start looking at jobs, it's very important to look at the companies that you would like to work for. Do your due diligence on the companies. Look at what they're doing, what their vision is, what technology they're using, because likely them and potentially their competitors as well will be doing the same things. It almost relates back to what inspires you. Find out what is going to motivate you once joining the company, and figure out what it is that you actually like. Are you joining because they're using the latest technology? Are you going to join because they have a fantastic culture? Are you going to join because they pay you the most? What is it that you really, really like? Look into the companies that have these aspects. So for example, if you're working with Facebook, it's going to be very different to working with a large iBank, for example. Find out about what you really want. Compare whether you want a job in commerce, which is everything outside of banking and financial services, or whether you would like to pursue a career in the banking and financial services space, as Hong Kong is one of the biggest financial hubs in the world.
Right. Now, okay, so now we touched on what inspires them, you know, what like what you just mentioned right there about the ideal companies. How about networking? I'm sure that's just as important, right?
Absolutely. So it's very, very good to build up a network of like-minded people, senior executives and mentors. So before you even start looking, I'd recommend to start reaching out to people, whether it's over email, whether it's at events, whether it's via LinkedIn. These are all great channels to find out people who are in your industry or in an industry that you want to be in. But one of the best things you can do is buy someone coffee and ask about their expertise and their advice. The advice that they give you is invaluable. So paying that extra $35 or whatever it is just for a coffee to gain that advice is integral, and it's very, very worth it, because they can give you an idea about what their industry is like. They can potentially connect you to people who are also hiring, or the best scenario, they may actually hire you themselves. So building that network of people is integral once you're mapping out your career path.
Right. So in that case, I'm sure, Alex, you guys would be so flooded with coffees, because the advice that you're giving all of us, we should be all buying you a coffee. And that's a lot right there, by the way.
I have
There's a
way
lot
too
of
many
people
coffee.
watching. A lot of people watching. Now, another thing is, now how about in terms of skills and demand? I know there's should we actually be very on top of what it is that they're looking for? What's the current trends? What's your views about that?
So I know I spoke about what the hot jobs were and the hot skills and demands recently as well. But what I'd like everyone to note is that look at what is hot right now in the market. What you can do is you go into any sort of job platform, look at what the jobs are in your area of interest, and see what the demand skills are, or skills in demand. That way you know what is currently hot, and you can kind of plan your career around what is essentially hot. But I'd also look at the industry and look at what the skills are going to be in demand in 3 years, 5 years time, 10 years time. The beautiful thing about technology is that we're always evolving and we're always changing. So if you have the foresight to look about what's potentially going to be hot in the future, like for example, AI or data in that particular sector, that's going to help give you the skills now to make yourself valuable in the future.
Okay, well, in that case, I guess that kind of relates to my second just idea here. Maybe more, how about some soft skills? Because you said everything is changing all the time. Then I guess being okay or good at improv would really help, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. So a lot of the technical guys are actually looked at as the unsung hero of the company. So essentially what that means is that often they're asked to solve problems on a daily basis or weekly basis that most people wouldn't know how to do. This can be problems to do with the software, this can be problems to do with the technical platform, this can be problems just to do with essentially their computer, or if something that isn't working. So a lot of the time things may not be working, and anyone who's studied technology before, who's ever had their own GitHub or worked on technical projects will know what I'm talking about here. So you're going to be responsible for solving these problems at a company. So you're going to have to consistently improvise and do things differently in order to achieve the desired outcome that you would like. So note now that improvisation is such an important thing. Don't be trapped by not changing. Change is a great thing. Always be learning and try and change as much as possible and keep up to date with the most current affairs with technology. So you always know how to help your company and help your employees solve these particular technical problems.
Right. And I guess a lot of these things is not something that people can predefine to you when they're hiring you, because these problems probably didn't even arise, or it wasn't even, they couldn't even generate it at that time, but it'll just happen when you're doing the job, right? So I guess like,
Exactly.
what is it? Like Bruce Lee says, right? What is it? Be like water.
Go with the flow.
Totally. Now, now with the other guest speakers, I actually noticed there's one big thing that's in common. Tell me if it's something that you would also agree, is that they want someone who's passionate. They want someone who's always curious, who's always to better themselves. Is that something that you would agree as well?
Absolutely. And like I just said, technology is always evolving and changing, which is fantastic, and which is why it's becoming arguably one of the biggest sectors in the world. So it's important to stay up. It's important to have your knowledge up to date, because things will constantly be changing, and there'll be consistent additions to particular software. There'll always be new programming languages, stuff like machine learning and natural language processing, some of the common themes that we're now seeing that our clients are asking for. So it's really important to have these up-to-date skills in order to make yourself as valuable as possible as an employee. The way that you can do this is obviously by being curious. Look at online forums. Look at what projects are being worked on by companies, huge tech giants such as Facebook, Google, and even in even iBanks or retail banks, for example. Look at what they're using. Go to events, go to hackathons, because these are situations where you'll start looking at the new technology, what's relevant, and potentially discuss with like-minded individuals in the field what's going to be relevant now and in the future. So these are fantastic ways to keep up to date and to keep on improving in yourself and to make yourself valuable to a company.
Right. I actually, as you said that, the first thing I thought is actually updating my iPhone. It's like, yeah, that's what we should do with ourselves, right? Otherwise, a lot of things that we have that we're equipped with is going to go out of date really fast, and it suddenly becomes incompatible, right? So it's the same with us. Okay, now, thank you so much for that. Now, let's jump right into the questions. I see there's, oh God, I don't even know how many there are. So let's go right into them. Now, let's see, first question. Someone said, you've mentioned that networking is very important. Now, how many networking events are put off right now? And what would you suggest for job seekers on network expansion in this very special time during the COVID-19?
So as I mentioned as well before, LinkedIn is a fantastic way to network with people. A lot of people have LinkedIn. I'd recommend nearly everybody to have LinkedIn, particularly if you're looking for a job. Connect with the current people who are in jobs, like I said before, that interest you. But if LinkedIn is just one way, but what you can do as well is connect with people on online forums. You can easily type into Google technical online forums or platforms in Hong Kong, and it'll bring you up with a list of these different forums. Not only do you have people who are students who are still learning the trade, but you also have people there who are genuinely curious and interested about technology. So using forums, using LinkedIn, finding out people's email addresses and connecting with them is a great way. But always remember to be polite. Be polite. Because they don't have to do it. They don't have to connect with you. Be polite and ask nicely if you're able to get a little bit of their time for a little bit of their advice. And most people would be happy to if they're not too busy.
Right. And now, especially how most people are doing like home office, I noticed the response rates are actually a lot faster now. So do take advantage. Now, someone also wants to know, what is the main difference in terms of planning a career path in tech companies compared to, say, other fields?
Well, tech companies, obviously, it's an industry that's growing tremendously. This industry is consistently growing, and we're having new things like data, we're having AI, different coding languages. There's a multitude of different aspects within the technical industry to consider, not only when you're looking for a job, but in order to progress throughout your career as well. Whereas let's say you have let's say a career path in law, that's going to be completely different to technology. If you have it in medicine, it's going to be completely different to technology. Certain trades are obviously very different when you're looking for a job, and in order to reach different levels, you have to do certain things. But even outside of the sort of professional services as well, technology is very specific in terms of learning and trying to be curious and always staying up to date. So that's why technology is very different to others or other career paths.
Right. Now, actually, the second part actually is a very related question that comes right after it. It says, what sort of transferable skills do employers actually most value?
Transferable skills in terms of moving from industry to industry, or?
I think that's what they're talking about.
So I touched on it again in our last session. So interpersonal skills are absolutely integral in today's day and life. So whether they can solve problems, are they able to diversify risk? Are they able to have fantastic stakeholder management? These are all skills that employers are looking for. Yes, it's great to be technical, and yes, it's great to have skills where you can jump from company to company. But what people really want today, in today's day and age, where we are much more client facing, we're looking for more technical client facing people. So having these soft skills and developing these soft skills, which you can do through either internships or work experience, or even stakeholder management, even in your class with your teachers, for example, these are great skills that you're going to have that are going to be in demand, and that will be transferable regardless of which job you go to.
Yeah, that's right. Because for those of you who weren't there last time Alex was in for our last sharing session, because at the end of the day, we're actually solving problems and we're dealing with people. So that interpersonal skill, that skill will not hurt you. And it's definitely something that we need to sharpen all the time. And now another thing is, someone wants to know, I do not have a background in INT, but is very interested in pursuing a career in this area. Where should I get started, and what kind of resources should I be looking at?
Sure. So that depends whether you want to go into, let's say, a client-facing sales position, or whether you would like to go into the technical side. If you are going into a client-facing sales position, generally speaking, you do not have to have a background in IT&T. What you can do is know about the product and know about the industry. So what do I do before interviewing, or before going to an interview at one of these IT&T companies, is to do as much research on your product that the company is selling, as much research on the industry in terms of growth potential and potential clients that you'd be reaching out to. That's the way you show the interviewers the knowledge and the passion that you have for in terms of transferring into the IT&T industry. If you would like to go down the technical route, a lot of the time, obviously, the easiest way is to then go and get a degree in computer science, for example. But what we have accessible now throughout the world, and even in Hong Kong, are these technical schools and programming schools. So what they do is they offer an intensive, immersive, X period of time project or school that you can go to where you are learning the desired skills in order to get a job in the IT&T industry. So I know, for example, there's a company called Accelerate. What they do is they offer a 3-month immersive programming school where you spend X amount of hours a week learning from their instructors, and afterwards you will have the necessary skills in order to become a programmer at a company. So that is the easiest way to get into the IT&T industry from a technical perspective.
Wow, that's definitely some very good tips there. Everyone, make sure you're taking notes. Very important stuff. And also, this time we don't even have to buy Alex a coffee to get all this information. And now let's go into the last question. We've only got a few minutes left. Someone wants to know, how do I approach my manager about getting a promotion and a raise? I've been doing very well in my current position for a while now, but there's no clear track for career progression in this person's company.
Sure. So what do I recommend at the start, before you even join the company and get the job, is to ask about the career progression. If you do well, what is the next steps? What do I have to achieve to get to the next level? That shows that you're very serious about the company and that you're serious about progressing as quick as possible and putting in the necessary hard work in order to achieve it. So that shows ambition and hard work, which is a great sign for employers. Once you're there and you are looking for a job or looking for a pay rise and don't know how to do it, what I'd recommend is, of course, doing your job well for a period of time rather than just bringing it up randomly, because of course you're not going to have the necessary options to then demand a higher salary or promotion. What I recommend is either taking over a 3-month, 6-month, or years period of time, saying what you've done well, what you've achieved, how you've achieved it, and what you expect to be achieving in the next 3, 6 to 12 months time. Once you have this record on paper and you can show what you've done and how you've benefited the company, that is great evidence, or it's a great start in order to ask for your promotion, because you actually have details and data and facts to discuss with your boss.
Right. So it's more like what kind of value you've brought and what more value are you going to bring in. So it's kind of
Exactly.
that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks so much. That was very good. And for those of you who's at home, just as a reminder, now last time Alex was here, that was the 29th of March. So that was a few days ago. And his session was called Most In-Demand Skills in INT. You can actually see that in the playback whenever you look back at the Virtual Career Expo. So we were just referring to it earlier in case for those of you who want to actually look at that. Thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for sharing once again, and definitely owe you a coffee.
Thank you so much, Melody. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, now that's it for this webinar on how to plan a successful career. And if you would like to recap the key takeaways that we just covered, as I mentioned, the recorded version will be available online throughout our Virtual Career Expo. So coming up in 10 minutes, we have Mr. Albert Wong. He's the CEO of HKSTP, and he will be here to wrap up some remarkable results of the week as live chats and live interviews at the Virtual Career Expo is coming to a close. And he will also be here to highlight the importance of talents in the innovation and technology sector. So everyone stay around and we'll be back in 10 minutes for that. And lastly, don't forget to fill in our online survey. So go to the virtual lobby and then go to the survey section on the navigation bar. The first 500 participants will receive a Deliveroo coupon. So that's very convenient, very valuable. And also your valuable feedback is very important to us. So please do take a minute and fill it out. If you have any inquiries or if you need technical support, please do contact us at hksp@vfairs.com. That's spelled VFAIRS.com. Stay tuned. We'll see you in 10 minutes.